You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Deep to left field. Going back George. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buster. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Wait, I got this thing on right here and not my headphones. Oh, there, that's much better. All right, so yes, welcome back to Sports and Sorts, episode 107. I wonder why I couldn't hear it in my headphones, because it was on my speaker still. Anyway, so episode 107, Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man. I am one half of this show. My name is Shane.
And I'm the other half, the Bri Man.
And we are going to be talking about a lot of things today, and you can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are played. iTunes, Superman's making an appearance, the Man of Steel himself, Mr. Henry Cavill. We are going to be talking about a lot of things.
I just like throwing you off the
podcasts,
bus.
anywhere they're played, iHeartRadio, iTunes, all that stuff,
Stitcher, Spreaker, Sporter.
www.libsyn, that's libsyn.com. You can, of course, find the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man, where we go live every Monday and Wednesdays, usually, and then possibly Saturdays soon. So, the Bri Man, I think his Bri Man's not going to be here on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm having a bed delivered, and I just don't know when and all that timing. So,
And he needs to properly break it in by jumping on it.
this is a very exciting day for us.
What kind of bed?
It's a king size, like gel foam mattress
Whoa.
bed, which we're very excited about because I have, surprisingly, because I thought I was going to be more on like the firm side, but I actually liked the plush. We tested it out, and I was on board with Melissa for the plush bed.
Yeah.
We could have gotten the dual one, where like one side is firm and the other side is plush, but I liked the plush better. So
Excellent.
we need it. I have to tell you, man, I'm waking up certain mornings and it's just like, back, everything's sort of like, creaky, and I need a bed. Need a new bed. It's time for a new bed. We've had this one forever.
But beds are very important. I mean, you spend a lot of time on them. So, anyway.
Sure do.
Shane and the Bri Man at gmail.com. You can send emails over there, of course, if you have any rants or anything like that you want on the show. If you're not going to be watching it live, you can post it in the comments, of course, and we will try and get everything on as possible. But we got a great show today. Going to be talking about a little Tom Brady with the Patriots, as you saw in the post. Tom Brady with the Patriots, he hangs up on WEEI again. We got the Yankees, Red Sox, Kendrys Morales going bananas at bat. And talk about sorts, the sorts side of things. Top
I'm very
5
excited
beers.
for this sorts.
I am a novice beer drinker, I would say. You are more of closer to a professional beer drinker.
I'm somewhere in the middle.
You're like in AAA? Is that where you're at? Like AAA or the G League? Is that what you're at?
If this was if you want to go by like baseball, yeah.
maybe?
No. Yeah, maybe AA.
AA.
Maybe AA. Yeah.
And your boy Timmy.
Oh, like Timmy Tim is firmly in the majors. So is Tim.
Is he like
so
an
is
MVP
Callahan.
candidate every year?
Yeah, I would say between like him and Tim Callahan would both be. They're pros. They're pros.
They're like
pros.
fighting. They're fighting for the MVP every year.
I'm catching up. I'm in AA.
All right, so you're just one of those young rookies. You're a top prospect coming up. Yeah.
Except I'm older than them.
In beer drinking world, you're still young.
Oh yes, that's true. That's true. Very true.
All right, so we got a great show today. Well, let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man.
All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about today, of course, is, I mean, you can't get away from the guy, especially when he goes on WEEI, and that is Tom Brady. He goes on, has a little conversation about, not even really a conversation. He has an interesting discussion with WEEI and about Alex Guerrero. You know, this is his shape body guru guy that keeps him in that this tip-top shape so that he can go out there and perform every single day at the age that he is at. And I'm hoping he continues to perform that way because I ended up getting him in my football draft. So he is my quarterback. I do have a really good backup quarterback. I was able to snag Jared Goff as well as my backup, which was tremendous. So I do have a little bit of a security blanket there if Tom Brady starts to fall off a cliff faster than, I guess as fast as most people do at that age. But,
I took Roethlisberger and then Goff, so those are my two.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good about them.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna alternate them more than just like Goff to me is not just a backup because Ben, I really probably want to play Ben at home because in Pittsburgh he goes bonkers. But on a lot of road games, where they're on the road, I might try and play Goff, and it'll be matchup based too. I think Goff and Roethlisberger are somewhat equals in terms of what their production will be this year. So
right, okay, all right. So we will we'll get into that in just a little bit. Hold on, I just clicked on something by accident. All right, so let's get into this. I want to play a little bit of the clip of the interview from WEEI when Tom Brady was getting peppered with some questions about Alex Guerrero.
He had said in his opinion that all this stuff had been overblown, that he and Belichick actually had a pretty good relationship even then. Would you say that was true?
I said I don't want to get into it.
Okay. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows it's well documented how the work that he and I do together.
No, I know. I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out because I saw the reports this weekend that he's traveling with the team. Was he on the sideline on Friday?
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.
My favorite part is that you get to hear the dial tone and everything.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the
dial tone is great. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about this? Like, this is just absolutely ridiculous. First of all, that he gets this uptight and sensitive about this one guy. Like, I don't understand. I don't remember any of like these other like big name guys like Jeter or A-Rod was a really sensitive guy, but I don't remember him getting like that sensitive over one particular topic.
Right.
So it's really strange.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that surprised me. One, let's start with the WEEI side. You know if you're going to ask questions about this guy that this is the likely response you're going to get. So if you're those guys, why bother? And honestly, and I don't want to stick up for Brady here at all, but really, if I'm WEEI, like, do you really care? I mean, you're a week and a half away from the season starting. Do you have more pressing questions about like Tom Brady's personal trainer being on the sideline? And believe me, I'm not sticking up for Tom Brady because I'm about to get to that in a second. But if you're WEEI, why? This should not be like on your top list of questions to ask. No, I would have hung up on them too because I'd have been like, you don't have any better questions for me to ask? We're defending AFC champions. Isn't there something like maybe a little more pressing about our roster or like about guys that I think, are making an impression in the preseason that you want to talk to me about? No, you want to talk about my trainer again? Bye. I don't blame him. Now, on the flip side, Brady is awfully sensitive when it comes to this guy. And it does give you that sort of smoking gun feeling like, what is he hiding with this guy? Like, why is he so sensitive about Alex Guerrero? I mean, maybe he is just tired of talking about it. And if that is the case, again, I certainly don't blame him. But at the same time, to me, this smells rotten. Like he's just, he's trying to avoid something. Look, I don't know what Alex Guerrero and him could be up to behind closed doors. I mean, obviously, my mind wanders quite a bit, and I think of the worst. Yeah. Because all I can imagine is Alex Guerrero injecting him with something illegal that he's probably not supposed to be taking. Because I can tell you, at the same age as Tom Brady to the day, I know what 41 feels like. And although I am,
you just bought a new bed.
Even though I am no supreme athlete like him and don't have, I don't have a nutritionist and I don't do yoga and all that crap. I don't eat granola bars all day. I can tell you that 41 is tough. It feels a lot different than 21. And Tom Brady is absolutely defied Father Time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it does make you wonder, what is this guy putting in Tom Brady's water? Because he is a supreme athlete at an age when he's winning MVPs at an age when you're supposed to be doing autograph signings post-retirement.
Or at least going on your Hall of Fame tour. Or your retirement tour.
Something. I mean, I'm sorry, but at 41, you should not be this good. You shouldn't. I'm not accusing him of anything. He's been accused of enough, and for the most part, he's been guilty of it. No, if I were, I need to hear a report.
Yeah.
First.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, it's fishy. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, the fact that he really gets antsy about talking about this guy is, I don't know.
So
what do you think?
First of all, I just want to say hi to a couple people who are watching right now. We have a Brandon and a Brendan watching right now. A friend of ours, obviously, Brandon. Darth Vader. DJ Darth Vader. He's
yes.
on there. He says he hopes that Tom Brady falls off a cliff. And then another friend of mine who I actually went to college with over at AV Point, Brandon Ferretto, he is he had the nickname I guess he got this in high school, but he had it in college, and it was B-Nuts. And the dude, you should see the way the kid swung a bat. Like, it was like, not only was it like a nice full swing, but it was like swinging around, coming around and smacking against his back. Like, that's how hard he would swing through the zone. It would like come around and hit him in the back, like really hard. You could hear it. It was like thump, like in his back. That's how hard he swung.
That's sort of like the iconic Babe Ruth follow through, because you always see Ruth where the bat is like behind the back.
Well, I will say,
did he have a Ruthian swing?
He gets compared, and he was actually, I think he did some relief pitching too for us. It was like 20 years ago. Wow. So I think it was like Todd gave it to you. Oh, really? I didn't know that. All right, so he just posted it in there. He said that Todd gave it to him. But anyway, I think he did some relief pitching too. He's like kind of like come in, throw some heat, and get some people out towards the end of the game. I think like I said, it's about 20 years ago, man. I'm 40 now. That was when I was 19, 18. So it's been a long time. But I very much remember that swing just coming through. He was a switch hitter too. For a little while. I think he ended up switching and just going to lefty. He was a closer. Okay. Yeah, closer.
Wow.
All right. So, so it was, it's nice to see him on here. I haven't actually seen the guy in forever, but, except for on Facebook, which is why I like Facebook. One of the main reasons I like Facebook. There's a lot of reasons I don't like Facebook, but anyway. Adam Zuckerman. He posted, by the way, I believe Lance Armstrong had a guy too, just saying.
He sure did.
That's a good one.
He sure did have a guy. Yes, he did.
Comment. I think we have a lot of Patriots haters here. That's always nice to have on the show.
It's good. Fits right in with our theme.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, we have that. I'm as far as when it comes to this whole topic, I just find the whole thing weird. I just don't understand how a superstar like him doesn't try and diffuse these situations. Talk about it real briefly and shift topics. Like, you don't have to. Like, Derek Jeter was a master at that. Buck Showalter, who they were interviewing yesterday on ESPN. He is a master at that. He is able to turn the interview around, put it back on you.
He was interviewing Buster Posey.
Right. And that's what he does because he doesn't want to give any information away. Bill Belichick doesn't say anything to anybody ever. And that's just a good way to diffuse the situation. If you don't say, like, if you're going to do these interviews, say something, but keep it bland so they can't come back and just be like, and try and figure out a way. You're a smart dude. Figure out a way to change topics. Like, Peyton Manning would have no problem figuring out a way to do that. But it looks
bad when you hang up. Like, when you just hang up out of frustration. I mean,
it's not the first time. That's like David David Wells stuff. David Wells was like so temperamental and drunk half the time, so he wouldn't even show up to half his meetings. But
Right.
I mean, that's what that kind of is. It's kind of just like, what are you doing? Like, you need to add something else into that shake that you drink every morning to give you a little more pep in your step, make you a little happier. Maybe put some Prozac in there or something. Because he was just grumpy. He gets very grumpy about Alex Guerrero. I don't understand. Anyway, let's. I think that's enough about him and them. You think?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good.
Let's move on. All right. So, I was just speaking about Buck Showalter and ESPN and everything like that. Well, last night, Chris Corelli, friend of the show, he writes for SNY, and he covers the Yankees for SNY. We have him on the show every once in a while, and when we talk Yankees and our state of the Yankees. And he actually had a great tweet last night. And this is something that I find very funny because I noticed it. I think most people watching the Yankee game last night noticed as well. And that was, he said, and this is at Chris Corelli, at Chris_Corelli on Twitter. He said, "Want to get drunk? Drink after each cut to the ESPN booth." And it's so true. And I just responded to him and I said, I bet it's in A-Rod's contract that he has to be on the screen as much as the players on the field. Like, it's got to be some sort of writer in his contract.
That booth is a disaster. I hope it's not, because I think the Yankee game is on ESPN tonight too, and I swear I hope it's not the same crew.
I don't
think it will be, because I think that's just the Sunday night crew. A-Rod and what is that Matt Vasgersian and what's her name there?
And Jessica Mendoza. Yeah, I don't mind Jessica Mendoza often, but I don't like her with A-Rod. And it's tough. Like, you have to find a different character. Like, A-Rod is such an awkward, weird character.
She drove me nuts last night because she was trying to talk about how Buck Showalter had great intangibles, and she couldn't, like, she was searching for that word, and instead of calling it intangibles, she referred to it as his sixth element. Whatever that is.
Is that the same element that your cat's making in the background?
I guess. That cat's going to die. Still happening, by the way. I keep pressing mute.
Yeah. So I found it I just thought that was very funny and actually would be an amazing drinking game, and you would be hammered by the third inning because that is absolutely, they do it way too often. But anyway, so I want to get into a little bit of the Yankees. So we'll get into the, I didn't hit the right button. There we go.
The state of the Yankees.
So we got the state of the Yankees here. And this we've had a very good week, a very, very solid week, very solid 10 games or so. Are we 8-2 or 9-1 in the last 10, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
They're taking care of business against bad teams.
Yes, and that is what you have to do. You have to take care of business, and we're going against a couple other bad teams this week. This week we got the White Sox and then Detroit and the Tigers for 4
before
games.
They go to Oakland.
So we have 7 games this week, and if we don't go 5-2 this week, that's atrocious. You have
Agreed.
to go 5-2.
We were talking about that with me and the guys that I text with prior to last night's game, and I said, is anything less than 6-2 acceptable? And it's not. You have to go. Yeah, they have to, including last night's game. I believe they have to go at least 6-2 against that game last night, which they won. So now that leaves them to go 5-2 over these next 7 games. I completely agree. They have to do that. Have to.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm 100% with you. They have to go 5-2. It's an absolute at this point in time in the season. But I've been kind of looking at some stuff, and I know that this week is kind of an easier one, but next week it's going to be a little bit more difficult because that's when we face off against the Yankees, go against the A's and the Mariners next week, and that's going to be difficult. So the Bri Man's off right now. He's coming back. I think he just is the cat still alive?
The cat is gone.
Wait. Rest in peace, gone?
I mean, the cat is still with us, but she's upstairs.
Okay, good. All right, so we have. I was just talking about how this week is kind of easy, and they should kind of plow through this week.
They have to.
Like they have. And I think the Red Sox have a pretty easy week this week as well. I think they play the Miami Marlins, and then they play the White Sox.
The pesky Marlins, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, both teams that are at the bottom of the division, and it's not. This is an easy week for both teams. So it's a good time for the Red Sox to try and heal up a little bit and also get some cheap wins. But at the same time, the Yankees have to just keep taking care of business because they have to keep winning. They have to keep going 8 out of 10 if they want to try and catch them in the division.
If you want to make a dent and get this but they still have 6 games left with the Red Sox. I mean, look, the only way that you're even
that's not insurmountable. That's doable, but
it's 5 in the loss column. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not insurmountable. I mean, they've done a nice job. This just goes to show you, though, how important it would have been just to even have taken one of those 4 games in Fenway. Because when you lost all 4, you really, really dug a hole that you're probably not going to be able to get out of. I mean, even just one would have meant the difference between, them picking up 2 games on you as opposed to 4. It was every win and loss against them is a 2-game swing. Yeah. And you had to have that last game, the one where Chapman imploded. We
got another one up there coming up in a few weeks. We got another series coming up against them, so we'll see how that goes.
But it'll be the same result unless they can get Sanchez and Judge back. I mean, those guys. Look, what they're doing now, feasting on bad teams, is fine because that's what good teams have to do. You have to beat bad teams. But in order for them to legitimately compete with the likes of the Red Sox or the Astros or the Indians, you're going to need those guys. You need Sanchez and Judge back in the lineup. Don't get me wrong. This whole little Luke Voit experiment is cute. It's nice. It's great that he's hitting, although he's actually – I take that back because he's going to actually end up in the lineup anyway, even when Judge and Sanchez do come back because he's their first baseman now. Mm-hmm. Well, as much as that pains me because, you want Greg Bird to work out. He's a lefty hitting – power first baseman with a sweet swing in Yankee Stadium and a good glove, and you wanted him to work out, and it just doesn't seem like it's happening. And I am stuck by him.
I'm 100% sure that you haven't seen the last of Greg Bird yet.
I hope not.
Because unless Voit does something crazy like a Shane Spencer doing something crazy like that where he just goes bananas, or like Aaron Small who just went 11-1, unless he does something crazy like that, you're gonna see him eventually slide off.
But even in both of those examples, those guys were flash in the pans essentially.
Right, and and that's Greg Bird is having a rough year. He hasn't had a great career so far. I mean, he has a good swing. He's a decent to good first baseman, but he hasn't put it together. Had a lot of injuries.
He's given you a couple of clutch postseason hits, and that's what I think has allowed him to even just. Maintain some semblance of, okay, this guy is worth hanging on to.
His demeanor is very much perfect for Yankee Stadium. He
Brian Cash loves it.
Doesn't care that much about what people are saying about him, just kind of goes about his business and keeps working and working and working. And he's just kind of got this look on, a pretty intense look most of the time. It's one of those things that he just hasn't put it together yet, and I don't know if he ever will, but he needs to.
Did you see him last night in the dugout wringing the sawdust off the bat?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my God, he wants to get in, but
that's probably good that he hasn't gotten in yet. Luke Voit has kind of been a little on the hot side, and Luke Voit is not going to be your answer for the rest of. No. He's not. He just hasn't shown that throughout his career in the minors and the majors. He's not that guy. But if he's going to give you some cheap wins during these crappy teams that you're playing, great.
I mean, ride the hot hand until he gives you a reason to take him out of the lineup, and then once that happens,
hopefully Greg Bird comes back and plays well. But if the other thing is he needs to play a decent defense, because if he doesn't play a good first base, then it's kind of you're hurting yourself anyway. Yep. So anyway, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about with the Yankees real quick. Other than that was, I want to talk about Sevy real quick. Severino looking a little better, but still, he absolute needs rest. The dude is huffing and puffing and struggling to get through an Orioles team that is made up of AAA and AA players, and then you have players that are closer to retirement like Adam Jones than they are being a superstar.
I mean, that wasn't even the Orioles they were playing last night. That was like the Bowie Bay Sox. Yeah. I mean, that was just not, and that's the Orioles AA team, by the way. So I mean, that's not a major league. I was texting last night to the guys, if this is anybody but Baltimore, I mean, if this is Boston, he's out in the first inning. they would have knocked him all over the field. It would have been like BP.
It could have been a little rough, for sure. He absolutely needs some rest. They need to get him some rest when, CC comes back and everybody I don't care. I know you're not, we had this quick conversation, via text when Sonny Gray pitched this over the weekend. I was happy that he was he was battling, getting through it, and he pitched pretty well, against the Orioles. But, regardless, he pitched pretty well, which is nice to see, throwing a lot of strikes, which is nice to see. Went a little bit deeper in the game than we have been used to of late. So,
well, he did what you would have liked to have seen Sevy do last night.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just sort of plow through that lineup like a good pitcher would against a junior varsity team.
Yes, and that's what he did. He pitched very well. So I was looking forward to that. Now, you have the opportunity now to possibly rest Sevy when CC comes back. Give him a week off, and then you're going to have your lineup. You're going to have your lineup back too. You're going to have Sanchez. You're going to possibly have Didi, barring any setbacks or anything like that. And the crazy thing about Gary Sanchez, to kind of shift over to him a little bit, is he's lost 10 pounds,
10 to 15
out. Like,
well, we saw pictures
insane.
of him. He looks significantly thinner. Didn't you see the pictures of him?
Yes, but I'm. Why doing this now in the middle of the season? Like, it's tough to change your body type in the middle. I don't know if that's what he was playing at last year or whatever, and he just kind of had packed on a little bit too much muscle. Packing on too much muscle is a bad deal because, we saw that with A-Rod. He put on like 12 to 15 pounds of muscle.
Slowed his swing down.
He played terribly. I don't know if that's what happened with Gary Sanchez, and he kind of lost some weight and some muscle to kind of quicken up a little bit, but I don't know what the deal is, but that's an interesting body change in the middle of a season. But I hope it works out. I hope it makes him a little less lazy. I don't know if that's the extra weight is going to help him move around much, but it'll be nice to see him come back just because Austin Romine is getting run on like crazy too.
And I like Austin Romine. We all like Austin Romine, but Austin Romine is exactly what you want in a backup catcher. Mm-hmm. In a backup catcher,
yes,
it's like he's like exactly what you like if you had like a great backup quarterback. It's what Yeah. He's like the Nick Foles of it's great that you have him, but you really don't want to play him every day. He's not your everyday catcher.
He gets exploited.
Yeah, he gets exploited. Right. Yeah. I mean, the warts come out, and that's fine. He's not meant to be an everyday catcher.
Right. So I want to post something because you posted something about it recently. I wanted to get in a little bit of Giancarlo Stanton a little bit, but I think we might pass on that. But so if anybody wants to hear about him, just post in the comments and we will talk about him as well. But the thing I wanted to talk about was something that you posted on the page. And that is, boom, Pedro Martinez. He writes, the Yankees don't seem to have the energy of a winning team. This was posted on 8/21, so it was about a week ago.
Yeah.
They don't have the energy of a winning team. I understand some key players are injured, but they don't seem to be hustling out there. You had some interesting comments about that. I don't want you to read word for word what you wrote or anything like that, but just kind of give me what you thought about Pedro and his comments.
Essentially, my feeling is that I don't think Pedro's watching the Yankees anywhere near as much as he says he is. Because here's the problem. And maybe this is just semantics, but the bottom line is he referred to hustle. I mean, yes, he did talk about energy, but he referred to hustle. And honestly, I think there are maybe one or two instances this year, having watched as many Yankee games as I've watched, where I didn't see them hustling. Now, if he had said, and I believe this is something I said in my post, if he had said something like, look, the team's not hitting, they look sluggish at the plate. They can't. They're not producing offensively. They couldn't hit a beach ball. I would have agreed with that. I would definitely have agreed with that. But the hustle part, I can't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous, to be honest. And I think Brett Gardner kind of set him straight with his response to that. Look, the Yankees are, and I don't want to use the excuse, although Pedro put it in the tweet anyway.
Right.
But look, I mean, they are injured. You don't have your everyday players in there. I mean, literally 1/3 of your lineup is gone right now between Judge, Sanchez, and Didi. Okay, and it's just not the same team. I mean, if you were without 30% of your home run offensive production, which the Yankees are currently without right now, you're gonna look like a different team, a worse team. That's just a fact. You can't. That is not sustainable. Like if I were to tell you now that Judge, Didi, and Sanchez were going to be gone for the rest of the year, you'd be like, well, let's look forward to 2019.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to talk about this year.
Right.
So if you're Pedro Martinez, but the bottom line is, do I think the team is not hustling? No. No, I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is they're injured. They're not hitting well. I mean, they're hitting a little bit better lately because they're playing such bad teams with horrible pitching. But do I think that they're not hustling? No, I don't believe. Not for a second. And I thought that was a very lazy observation on his part.
Weird, because he isn't always the best analyst. He's very good at breaking down pitchers and even hitters from time to time, but I don't think he's good at breaking down team. Because you have to, in order to break it down a team, you got to be watching them a lot. And
I don't think I can't imagine that he's. I mean, no offense to him, but I'm sure he's not watching them more than you and me.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, and I haven't been able to watch them anywhere near as much as I usually do because there's just so much going on right now. But it's still. I still watch them like 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'm still on top of what's going on with them, and if I'm not watching, I'm usually checking it on my phone to make sure that I'm kind of keeping up with everything. So anyway, I wanted to kind of quickly talk about the Red Sox too, real quick, before we get into our top 5 beers, because NFL season, got to talk about beer. The Red Sox haven't been playing very well. They have been struggling, to say the least. They've just been playing poorly. But the weird thing is their offense is still putting up some numbers. They've been putting up some very decent numbers over the last week. The problem is their pitching has kind of gone in the tank. Porcello starting to pitch like the Porcello that we like, which was last year. And then Evaldi has been totally in the tank. I mean, you're talking an 8.68 ERA over the last week. And then, but the good news for them, David Price is still pitching well. Craig Kimbrell seems to be doing okay. Hasn't had much work in the last week, which is good because that could mean a rusty Craig Kimbrell. When he comes back. I always like that when closers get too much rest. Joe Kelly has been pitching a ton. He's been pitching well. So their bullpen's been doing well, but their rotation hasn't. But, Eduardo Rodriguez is coming back soon. And I don't know what the deal is with Chris Sale. I should have probably texted.
I'm still convinced that they're just resting him.
But that's weird. It's weird that they would bring him back, have him throw, and then have him put him right back on the DL.
I agree, but I still think this is a strategy by Cora to just rest him. But they had at the time when they put him back on the DL, they had what was the lead, like at least 9.5 games? I mean, why not? And even now, even at 6 games or whatever it is, I think it's 6 games now. I mean, you still have a good lead. You still have more than a handful of games worth of the lead. Just keep him on the DL. You need him in October. Now, obviously, you don't want to lose the division, but I don't think they're in a huge danger of that still. I think they would have to really collapse to lose the division. There's 32 games left. I mean, is it doable?
Do they have 7 games against the Yankees?
6, I think.
6 games? That's
so.
Man. It's gonna be interesting because we're getting healthier and healthier as the season goes on. I'm looking forward to seeing how this shakes out.
Maybe it is 7, actually.
No matter what, they're both going to make the playoffs. They should both make the playoffs. The Yankees, like I said, the Yankees are going in. They're going to be playing next week. They're going to be playing the A's and then the Mariners, which is tough. But the Red Sox play the Astros.
Who are starting to get it together a little bit.
Yeah, and
they've won 5 straight.
The week after that, the Red Sox play the Braves and the Astros. So they're going to be playing some playoff team too. So it's going to be a very interesting. And I'm glad. I can't wait to see the A's play because I want to see them actually play. I don't get to see them play very often, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they play because the A's are a very streaky team right now. They are playing very, very well, but I want to see them face to face. And I want to give my actual, after watching them for 4 games, seeing how they or 3 games. It's 3 game series. right? Or is it 4?
Yeah.
I think it's 3 and then 4.
no, I think-
4 against the Mariners.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm looking forward to seeing them play. I want to see how they do. I mean, especially with Sean Manaea just going on the 10-day DL. I kind of, I mentioned it last week that he had never gone over 155 innings, and he was approaching that, and as soon as he did, he went on the DL, which is...
I just hope, I really would love for Judge to be back that series, but he hasn't even picked up a bat yet. So
yeah.
I'm a little concerned. I guess the good
About
news
who?
with Judge.
Oh, Judge, yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to take him long to get in shape. I just know
No.
he wants it 100% healed.
I think he just wants it pain-free. Yeah, because what's the,
you don't want to re-aggravate that.
I mean, theoretically, if the pain stopped on a Monday, he could technically be in the lineup on a Wednesday, I mean, you maybe want to give him a day's worth of swings, get some cuts in the K. Like, he shouldn't be out that long. Like, this shouldn't require like a rehab stint, going through the minor leagues or anything like that. He should just be able to pick up a bat, get in a few cuts, and be ready to go.
Yeah, he's not going to need much. I just texted Damian, and he said that he thinks that Chris Sale's throwing today. So I guess we'll probably hear something about him later on today about how he's progressing. Because if he's having some shoulder or elbow or anything issues that are legit, that's a big concern going forward, because you need him for 1, 4, and 7 in the playoffs, and if you're not going to be able to get that out of them, that's a big deal to the other team that's playing you.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got to get on to something that I like to. We when we have Tim Callahan's on with fantasy football in 15 minutes. We talk about beer. At the end of every episode, he gives you his beer recommendation, which is
Ice cold beer.
That's what we do every time we have him on. I'm hoping to get him on again soon. I'm going to reach out to him. Hopefully, I might be able to get him on for 15 minutes on Wednesday, do a short show on Wednesday, maybe do some fantasy football stuff, maybe some drafting stuff. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can get him. He's been very busy, so we can hopefully figure that out. All right, so let's dive into the ice cold beer. I want to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
That's the way that I want to do this. I have my 5 favorite beers. Mine are going to be very different than yours. I am guaranteed.
I would imagine.
Yours
I doubt we'll have even one.
Yours going to be like it's Anchorage's Alaska Wheat Pale Ale Pigeon Toad Eye Stank. And it's an alcohol level of 9.8 ABV.
That's too much. My highest on this list is an 8.0.
Yes, my highest on this list is a 5.1.
Okay, that's okay though.
So anyway,
I've got a couple that are in the 3s on this list. So
wow, I don't even know if I have any.
It's not all about the alcoholic content. Just saying that.
Well, I know that. You can tell by my posts. my 5. So anyway, we'll start off with number 5. Number 5. On
where do you think you're going? I'm gonna sort it out.
You're gonna what?
Swords.
Talk swords. So anyway, number 5 for me is a beer that you can get anywhere. It's seasonal. Sam Adams, Porch Rocker.
That's a heck of a choice, by the way. That's a great beer.
I am a big fan of that in the summertime. It is a very refreshing, kind of like it's got kind of like a lemonade kind of feel to it. It's just so incredibly refreshing. It's got a little citrus and all that kind of stuff. And you'll get an idea of what I like. You're going to get an idea of what I like. Just kind of the citrus notes. Lots of citrus notes, very lemonade, kind of have a feel to it. It's super refreshing, and I just love it in the summertime.
It's a really, really great spring and summer beer.
At 4.5 ABV.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my number 5.
That's very nice.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I just want to say before we start this list that this is a very, very fluid list. It can change almost on a daily basis. It really can. Because the second you have a beer that you've never had before, you could just be like, this is the best beer I've ever had. Yeah. It's just phenomenal. I love it.
That happened to me about 10 years ago, and it's still on my number 1 list, though.
I mean, so for me, with the exception of only one of these beers, I would say all of these are within the last 3 years that I've had them. So, I mean, this list is fluid. This is not a closed, book here. Okay, these pages are meant to be rewritten on essentially a weekly basis, because you could stumble onto something that's just so great. In the craft beer world, it's never ending.
I can't tell if Christine's actually might be making fun of you, or if she's just saying this is what she likes. And I'm guessing it might be Sam Adams, but she said pumpkin spice lager, and that we know. The Bri Man's all about the pumpkin spice.
So the timing is perfect, because number 5.
Okay.
Number 5. Mm-hmm. And this is the only, I would say, technically speaking, seasonal beer. Mm-hmm. And I had to, because as most people know, I do love fall. I do love all things fall and autumn and pumpkin and all that stuff. So I did have to get a pumpkin related beer on this list. And at number 5, from Two Roads Brewery, right here in Connecticut, mm-hmm. Rosemary's Baby, which is a 6.8% pumpkin ale.
Oh.
And it is, and I have to tell you, it was hard for me to pick just one, because there are a ton of tremendous pumpkin beers. New Belgium's Pump Kick was certainly on the list. Even Shipyard's Pumpkinhead was on the list. The only reason I picked Rosemary's Baby above
sounds so funny.
above Shipyards is because Shipyards, in order for Shipyards for me to be really great, it's good, it's fine on its own, but in order to make it really great, you need the turbinado sugar and cinnamon mix around the rim, which just takes it up to another level. But Rosemary's Baby does not need any of that. Rosemary's Baby stands on its own without any alterations or anything modifying it to make it taste even better.
Okay.
Although with the same treatment, with the sugar and the cinnamon around the rim, it's unbelievable.
Tremendous.
So number 5, Rosemary's Baby.
And it is official. Christine was making fun of you.
That's perfectly acceptable. Hey, the timing was good. She's not wrong.
All right. So number 4 for me is it's a beer that I enjoyed. You know how I have that glass boot. You know that
yeah.
I have a glass boot. You know, after watching the movie Beer Fest, I went out and bought one, and that's like, you're talking 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Whenever that movie came out, I bought one. Went online, searched, found the size that I wanted and everything. It was tremendous. It's hand blown. It was awesome. The thing is tremendous. The glass boot. Yeah. And a beer that I would have during fantasy football drafts would be Widmer's Hefeweizen. And I am a big fan of that one. I can't find it anywhere around me anymore. I don't see it. I would get it in bottle during that time of year, during this time of year. It was a beer that I really enjoyed in the late summer, fall, and even starting into winter. I really enjoyed that beer a lot. It's light. It's got a citrus taste. It's just very refreshing. You can put a little lemon in it. I didn't typically do that, but you can put a little lemon in it. I just like drinking it by itself. I thought it had enough flavor. It's 4.9% ABV, but it's definitely, it's another kind of like summer going into fall. And then I just can't really do that beer when it comes to the winter, but yeah, it's most of the beer I drink is like a summer kind of beer. It's like, it's very refreshing. I like that. So
okay.
Yeah, Widmer's Hefeweizen.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I like it.
Good.
All right. My number 4 would have been much higher, except the difference between when I had it on draft and when I had it in a bottle it's like night and day. Otherwise, this could have been my number 1 if it had tasted as good in a bottle as it did on draft.
Really?
This is and this shocks me. This shocks me that I even have a beer from this brewery on this list, because I have never been a big fan of this brewery. I've never really cared too much for Magic Hat.
Whoa, I love Magic Hat.
Yeah, and I have friends who like Magic Hat.
That would be in my top 10. I like the original Magic Hat. I like that.
Yeah, Magic Hat number 9 you probably like.
Yes.
That's yeah. And I actually do. They have a fall brew called Wilhelm Scream that I actually like.
I used to get their variety pack all the time. I like that a lot.
But for whatever reason, I never was just a big fan. Like number 9 never really did anything for me. But this one, when we went to Vermont, this was 2 years ago when we did it. They had a 8% Scotch ale on tap called WEEI Heavy Champ, WEE Heavy Champ. And at the time, I was like, this might be the best beer I've ever had. I mean, you could ask Tim, because I'm sure he remembers when we were there. And I don't think he cared for it all that much, but it was absolutely just an unbelievably great Scotch ale. And the thing I loved about it was right at the end, it hit you with this hint of caramel right at the end. And it just really, really sealed it for me.
I'm a big fan of caramel.
And it's...
I'm not a big fan of people saying caramel.
It's subtle. Yeah, I don't like that either. It was a very subtle little hint at the end of caramel, and I was just like, wow, this is just an amazing, amazing beer. And unfortunately, I remember when it came out in bottles, and I was able to find it here in Connecticut, and I was so excited to crack that first one. Poured it in the glass. I drank it, and I'm like, oh no, what is this? This is not WEEI Heavy Champ. This is not the WEEI Heavy Champ I had on tap in Vermont at the Magic Hat Brewery. It just was a very different beer. But I cannot deny the experience of what happened in Vermont. It cannot be taken away. And so again, if the bottle had been even remotely close to what I had on tap, this might have been my number 1. Okay. As it is right now, this is number 4. WEEI Heavy Champ, Magic Hat.
All right. So we got number 3 here now. Number 3. And this is...
We're getting into the big boys now.
This is a beer that me and my wife both love. It's a great summer beer. I love it during the summer. You obviously know you were at the big 40th birthday bash that me and my wife threw for each other. You were there, and you saw the beer that was there quite a bit in the big beer bin that we had. And that is
Modelo Especial.
Modelo Especial. Yes, I love that beer. It's like anytime, like not only is it a great summer beer, it's the beer I like to drink the most, like during picnics and all that kind of stuff. But it's the one every single time I go to a Mexican restaurant or anything like that at all, like I'm getting any kind of Mexican food, that is the beer I crave. It's just my favorite cerveza. I love it so much. It is just I never like, and that's a big, at my age now, I'm very much into not getting a headache the next day. And that is a huge deal for me too. And there's certain beers like, you have the Coronas and the Land Sharks and stuff like that, which I used to drink a lot back in the day. But now I can't drink the Corona because the Corona Light, I drink the Corona Light because they go down smoother and I don't get a headache the next day from, the just whatever. It's just not, it's cheaper beer. But the Modelo, I love it. And I crave it when I'm eating Mexican food. I just really want a Modelo Especial.
Very nice. Yes. Now hey, listen, I love Pacifico. Pacifico in the Mexican beer, options is my favorite by far. But I will tell you, you have actually turned me on to Modelo though, because after you brought it over my house that one time for the party, and then I had it at your house, and then I think I told you the other night I actually had it in a can, and I was like, wow, it's really good out of a can too. With you squeezed a little bit of lime in, but it was really good.
Yeah, see, I don't do lime. I don't do lime. I typically don't do the fruit except for in Coronas, like Corona and Corona Light. I do the lime.
Corona and Corona Light, yeah.
That's the only one I do.
I do the lime.
And Land Shark too. But those are the cheaper beer. Like I just feel like they're not made as well, so they kind of.
Have you had Pacifico?
Yeah.
It's really good.
A while ago. Yeah.
Big fan of that. Yep. Okay. My number 3, and this is a little bit of a surprise to me because if you had told me a year ago that I would have had a sour beer in my top 5, I would have been like, ooh, no, that's too, ugh.
The Bellini beer?
But I'll tell you, sours have crept into my palate quite a bit here. And I'm very happy that I have a beer from this brewery on this list because I do consider this to be my favorite brewery at this point. In Vermont, Little Umbrellas is the name of the beer. By 4 Quarters Brewery. And it's a sour. It's only 3.5%. This is a nice, really nice summer beer. This is probably my go-to. There are some right over there in that fridge. And it's toasted coconuts and pineapples.
Ooh, that does sound yummy.
Kind of flavor. Oh, I think you'd like it. Next time you're over, or next time I see you, I'll bring you one or whatever. But we'll split a can. I think you'd be a big fan. So it's it is.
I might have to take the trip up to where you live so that I can during football season, maybe on a Sunday, come up for a while and watch the 1:00 game or something like that.
Watch the Bills and the Dolphins lose. Or if they play each other, I mean, maybe they'll tie.
Yeah, that would be the worst game to watch ever because we'd both be just sitting there miserable. Like this is
or we'd both be wanting our teams to lose for the better draft pick. But yes, that is my number 3, a sour. Little Umbrellas by 4 Quarters Brewery is a 3.5% alcohol.
Modelo's 4.4. So
okay, see, so this is even less than that.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to number 2, I'm just going to take a quick break. We're going to throw you our commercial that we play every once in a while. It'll be about 30 seconds, and we'll be right back after that. So we'll see you in a few seconds with number 2 and number 1 on our lists.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
We are back. That's our commercial. Got to play this for the Bri Man. He loves this. The alien music. So, all right, number 2 on my list on the top beer list. Top beer list for each of us. We're each giving our own top 5 beer list. And my number 2 is a beer that is my Thanksgiving Day beer. It is a beer that I get every Thanksgiving. I drink with my uncle, and it is at 5.1% ABV, and it is it's a little sweet, it's a little bitter, very easy to drink, and it's unfiltered. So it's kind of like a hazy lemonade or something like that. But it's very very good. I love this. Like I said, it's my Thanksgiving beer. Allagash White. I love that beer during Thanksgiving. It's the only time I really drink that beer. I will drink it like around in the winter and stuff like that occasionally, but it's Thanksgiving. I always get 4 of them. Me and my uncle, we each have 2, and it's just a beer that I love drinking on Thanksgiving. And I usually do it while I'm frying one turkey, smoking the other turkey, and I'm out there just having a good time. Thanksgiving, it's awesome. So yeah, Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
that's my beer.
I don't have a specific Thanksgiving beer, but I would say in the last couple of years, the best beer I've had on Thanksgiving was something by Lawson's, which I'm a little upset I didn't have a Lawson's beer that made this list. There was an honorable mention Lawson's beer that would have made the list.
Okay.
And actually, it is this one. It's called Maple Triple Ale.
Ooh.
It is a 12.1%. Yeah, it's hardcore, and you don't drink it like you drink it like scotch.
Oh, wow.
You pour about yay much in a glass and you sip it. It's not meant to be. Yeah, it's not meant to be chugged.
Yeah,
that's
heavy.
But it is an absolutely amazing beer, and it's the name gives you a little bit of an idea of what's in there. It's maple. There's maple syrup. It's a tremendous.
Big fan of maple syrup.
It's a tremendous beer, and you sip it like scotch, but at 12.1%, it's not for the faint of heart. So, and you certainly wouldn't drink it's not even bottled or canned. It just comes in a growler. It's like a wine bottle basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but my number 2, and this is on my list because it's sort of like my go-to in a, if I always have plenty of it in the fridge, And it was tough. It was a tie. It was a tough between this one, but I only wanted to include one of these on the list. I didn't want to put, so like the honorable mention for this one would have been Lil Heaven, which is from Two Roads. Yeah, from Two Roads, which is a great IPA, 4.8%, very light, great spring and summer beer. And it's a great all year round beer because it's so light that it just, you can have it at any time of year, and it's good in the fall and winter too. It's just a great everyday kind of beer. Mm-hmm. But it was tough for me not to choose this beer from the Alchemist Brewery, also in Vermont. and a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, he's going Heady Topper. He's going Heady Topper. No, this is Heady Topper's little baby brother, Focal Banger, which is a 7% IPA. I absolutely adore this beer. This is a great, to me, like, you can just have it any time of year, any day of the week kind of beer. It's just a great hoppy IPA. And at 7%, it's a little less than Heady. Heady's 8%. So it's, it doesn't get you quite, it's still, yeah. I mean, if I had a couple, I'd be a train wreck. But
anything over 6% is strong.
But like after a long day of work, and I want to grab a beer, I think to myself, maybe I'll just grab a Focal Banger because this is, So this is sort of the go-to beer. It's not number one because I've had so many beers that I think would probably overall taste better than it. Mm-hmm. But it's a great go-to everyday beer. It really, I mean, not literally every day, but a great go-to any time of year beer. Focal Banger.
Focal Banger. All right.
And a great name.
Now, for me, number one. The number one beer on this list, as I had mentioned earlier, is one of the beers that I have had. I had it like 10, 12 years ago. Zach Harvey's going to be putting out his top 5 in the comments. So I will read those out when he is done. My number one of all time, and it is a beer that I started drinking about 12 years ago. Had it at an Irish pub, Black Sheep in East Lyme, Niantic area. Had it down there on tap, and I ended up getting it at my own bar because of that. And it is a beer that I love. It is light, it's creamy, it's got like soft carbonation, similar to Guinness, but unlike Guinness, you can easily have like 4 of these because it's also great. It's great out of draft, like I said, but it's also great out of a can. They have like that nitrogen bubble thing, and you can pour it just like that. You just tip it over. So
this is a nitro.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, because they have it in draft. So yeah, you have to use the nitrogen. It is my favorite beer of all time. I love it. It is the best beer I've ever tasted, and still to this day, still my favorite beer. And that is Boddington's. It is the GOAT in my opinion. 4.7 ABV. I can drink that summer, fall, winter, spring. Doesn't matter because it is light and refreshing. But at the same time, it has that creaminess, which you just don't get out of a lot of beers. And I love the soft carbonation. I find it so easy to drink. Doesn't give me a headache, obviously. And it is a top beer. Although I think Anheuser-Busch bought the company. They still make it out of Manchester, over in England because it is an English pub. An English a beer, and that it is so incredibly good. I love that beer. I can drink that anytime, and it's just delicious.
Wow,
that's my number one. Thank you very much. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Very good.
Number one.
Very good. Very nice. Okay. Very good. I look at beers, I think, in the way that I sort of look at food, especially when it comes to like what my favorite is. So if you ask me what my favorite food is, the answer is lobster. Now, the thing with lobster is, the reason why I think lobster is my favorite food is it's because it's not a beer. It's not a food that you would have every day. Right. You would eat lobster every day. I think what makes it my favorite is that it's a special meal. Uh-huh. It's something that I maybe have twice a year, to be honest. Maybe 3 times at the most. It's just not something I eat a lot of, but that's what makes it my favorite food. And I kind of look at this as my favorite beer as sort of being the same. Although I will say that if we had done this show 10 months ago, my answer to this would have been different because 10 months ago at this time, I had not had this beer.
Right.
I did not know of this beer's existence. So, and I kind of look at this beer as something that I just won't be able to have very often because it is from a brewery up in Vermont called Hill Farmstead, which is about as out in the middle of nowhere as you can possibly get. This brewery is off the grid, but it is an absolutely beautiful and aesthetically beautiful place to visit. The brewery itself is just gorgeous. You could go in the brewery, you order your beer, and you go out on their porch and you just look out like, open grass. And it's just, it's Vermont. It's Vermont. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this was a beer that I had for the first time in October. And it is a porter. It's a nitro porter. Has a chocolate, coffee, light malty kind of sweetness to it. And it's called Shirley May. It's 3.8% volume. It's Shirley, Shirley, M-H. You can't can it because it's a nitro. So they don't bottle it or can it to this point, as far as I know.
Right.
I shouldn't have said that. They probably could can it.
Yeah,
at some
you just got to do that nitrogen bubble like Guinness.
But they don't. But they didn't have it available in bottles or cans at the time. It's a draft. As far as I know, it is a draft only beer. It is absolutely amazing, and I will admit that some of it was probably going out there. It was in October. Me and Tim made a trip out in October because I really wanted to go to Vermont in October to see what, maybe some fall brews that they would have and stuff like that. And it was the first beer I tried. I looked at it at the menu. I'm like, ooh, that's like right up my alley there. It's a porter. It's a nitro. It just, and I love that frothy, almost, kind of Guinness head. And it was just such an amazing beer. I could have had like 5 of those.
Wow.
At only 3.8%, probably wouldn't have knocked me out.
No.
But honestly, to me, like, that's kind of what makes it my current favorite, is that it's just not a beer I could have every day. I wouldn't literally have access to it on a daily basis. It's a special once in a while beer that I might be able to get like once a year at the most.
Cool.
And to me, that's what allows it to be.
That's your lobster.
It's my lobster, Shirley May by Hill Farmstead. And by the way, if you know anything about beer, you know that having Hill Farmstead on the top of your list makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
They are absolute. They're like a multi-award-winning brewery. So
great. All right, so we'll continue on because I just want to read my list real quick. Number 5, San Adams Porch Rocker. 4, Widmer Hefeweizen. 3, Modelo Especial. And 2, Allagash White. And Boddington's is number 1 for me. What is your list? Go down.
And my number 5, Rosemary's Baby by Two Roads Brewery. Number 4, Wee Heavy Champ by Magic Hat. Number 3, Little Umbrellas by Four Quarters. Number 2, Focal Banger by The Alchemist. And number 1, Shirley May by Hill Farmstead.
Nice. That's great. All right. So we also have Zach Harvey. He wanted to post his top 5.
Yes, let's hear.
Lights On, Treehouse. I don't know.
Okay.
This
is
Treehouse.
Yeah,
I am not an experienced beer drinker.
Okay.
So
Nope. Right. Very good.
And then he's also got other one, Tilted Barn. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Other one was the name of the beer?
Other one, Tilted Barn.
Tilted Barn?
Yeah.
Okay. Never. I don't think I've had that. Okay.
And then he's got his number 3. I'm assuming that this is legit and not just funny, but Busch Light. Likes Busch Light. Number 3 on his list, Busch Light. Hey, with all these other beers, it must just be his go-to.
Let's just go to number 2.
Just must be his go-to beer. Like, you know what? I'm going to go out and get some Busch Light to drink during the football season. Hey, everybody's got it.
If I don't want to pull my beer, I'm not going to pull my beer snob card here, but let's just move on to number 2, please.
Number 2 is Florence by Austin Street.
Never heard of that.
Me neither. And number 1 is Swish by Bissell Brothers.
This is what I mean. I'm only like a AA amateur. This is where I need.
You gotta go out.
This is where I need Tim and Timmy.
You just got some new beers to try.
Yeah, I guess so.
Florence by Austin Street and Swish by Bissell Brothers.
Did he say what kind they are?
Only thing I know about Bissell is don't they make vacuums?
They make vacuums. Yeah, they make good vacuums. Yeah. Good vacuum company.
All right, so that's pretty much it for our show today. We got our sports. We talked all sorts of stuff, and then we went on the sports side of things and talked all sorts of beer. Football season's coming around. I mean, lots of beer will be drank over the course of a football season, no matter if you're celebrating or commiserating, either way. But you can find this show on Twitter at Shane and Bri Man, or you can find us at Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man, where we go live every Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Saturdays. We're going to be doing that soon. And I think Bri Man is not going to be able to join us for Wednesday's show, but we will see if we can try and get you something going on that day. I'm going to see if I can figure out maybe get Tim Callahan on for about 15 minutes or so, maybe at least do like a 15-20 minute show, a little fantasy football related. We'll see. And then
there is a possibility I could. It's just going to depend on
we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely try and get you something.
We'll play it by ear.
Get you something. All right. And then on top of that, of course, we have www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. That's where you can find our podcast. You find our podcast anywhere podcasts are played: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, all those places. Just type in Sports and Sorts and you should be able to find our show. The Bri Man, where can people find you?
On Twitter at _Bri_man.
Find me at Einhornisfinkel. And that's it for our show. Thanks for listening. Have any comments or anything? Put your favorite beers in the posts, in the comments.
Yes, we would like to. Let's share. Let's share beers.
We would like to hear about your beers. The Bri Man would, of course, like to learn about new beers that he hasn't had before. He likes to try these things. Swish by Bissell Brothers, Florence by Austin Street, Other One by Tilted Barn. I mean, those are beers that I don't think he's had. So he might have to go out and venture and give a taste.
I may have even had the Treehouse one that he I think so. I'll have to check my Untapped list, but yeah. Cool. By the way, that is a great app, Untapped, UNTAPPD. It's a great place you can check in beers, rank them. It's a really cool. You can learn a lot about beer. It's a great app. Check it out.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again, possibly Wednesday, both of us, maybe. We'll see. We'll keep you in touch. Just follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane.
But we may have a Saturday show, so
maybe knows? Yeah. So facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man, and we will post and let you know when we're going to be filming, or if not, probably Tuesday night. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Stay classy, Planet Globe.
Peace out. See you soon.
Bye. Bye now.
You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.